to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or the Tri-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Today, we are talking about the Austrian army fighting a vampire. I immediately imagined Van Helsing with that one gay guy. I can't remember his name.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
That was a
Very
great
good
movie.
night.
I'm fantastic. I'm filled with fond memories of watching that movie on the Fox channel over and over and over.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Great.
Screw this documentary. Let's watch that movie.
Trevor, how are you?
Oh, man.
All right. Trevor's got a vampire hat.
A what?
You got a vampire hat?
That's.
Oh, you want to see it?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, wait. It's the other side.
Does it really have vampires on it?
Oh, it's got lights.
Oh, it's to scare the vampires away.
Yeah, it's got garlic all over it, too.
Based.
You guys will make it in a horror film, I promise. All right.
Oh, hey, vampire. Come bite me, please.
Dude, I just think that would suck. I think if people were actually turned into vampires, they'd probably die after like a week.
They would suck.
Oh, I did make a pun. I didn't even know it. That's fantastic.
Suck your blood. I
Yeah.
want to suck your blood.
Because I just kind of figure most of them, wake up, after 3 days later or whatever it is. They're like, I'm a vampire. I get to live forever. They break out of their coffin and then just dig out of the ground and immediately roast in the sun because they turned during the day.
Oops.
Yeah, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, that's some pretty vital rules and stipulations you have to abide by there.
Yeah, it's a pretty strict code. It's like I can't even get to work on time. I wouldn't make it.
Oh, the sun's in my eyes on my drive. Oh, I'm dead.
You don't want to be late in that world. Anyway. Okay, well, I guess we're going to watch a documentary on, and if this doesn't last long enough, I've got other first-hand accounts in the wings.
This is the earliest, oldest account documented that I could find.
Sweet.
And anyways, so what we'll do is we'll listen to this first part of the story. It's just setting up the background, and then the rest of it we'll jump to later.
All right, sounds awesome. Here we go.
In the early years of the 18th century, the Austrian Habsburg monarchy found itself embroiled in a bitter war with the regional powerhouse of the Ottoman Empire. From 1716 to 1718, in what is now known as the Austro-Turkish War, rival imperial forces conducted battle over the Balkans, leaving an estimated 80,000 dead in their wake. The short but violent conflict would culminate in the Austrian capture of Belgrade, forcing the Ottoman surrender and the signing of the Treaty of Passarowitz. With the Ottoman defeat, the Habsburgs expanded their empire into the Balkan region, the territories of Banat, Alencia, northern Bosnia, and Serbia, then falling under the flag.
Say that again?
The Habsburgs are still an operating family, like we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah? Huh.
Yeah, they're one of those evil families.
They just never go away, do they? Oh, my
like
goodness.
vampires or something.
Oh, I know. It's weird.
Of the Austrian Eagle. With new kingdoms to their name and thousands of new subjects under their rule, the Habsburgs set about exploring the Balkan territories. Administrators, explorers, and cartographers were dispatched into the rugged, mountainous land, cataloging everything from geography, wildlife, and the unique social dynamics at play within the regions. Located along the banks of the mighty Danube River in northeastern Serbia, just outside the now capital city of Belgrade, the small fishing village of Kiseljevo welcomed one such adventurer in the summer of 1725. Provisar Frumbald, an imperial administrator, was already well into his journey. The humble village just one of dozens he was tasked with recording on his way through the Serbian kingdom. However, while studying this little town and its inhabitants, Frumbald would bear witness to what he considered a unique and rather grotesque sort of ritualistic practice. As Frumbald went about his duties, his attention was drawn to an angry crowd of villagers clustered in the town's modest cemetery. Intrigued, the administrator made his way to the burial grounds, nudging his way through the excited mob of people, trying to get a better look at what was happening. Finally breaking through the crowd, Frumbald was confronted with a sight both confusing and disturbing. The villagers appeared to be exhuming a corpse, a man recently deceased at about the age of 60. As the burial detail hoisted the man's body from his grave, Frumbald took note of how fresh the buried corpse appeared. The body, despite sporting a layer of dirt, still maintained a lively glow. The man's fingernails and hair likewise appeared healthy and intact. Surely, Frumbald thought, showing no signs of bloat or decay, the man couldn't have been buried more than a few hours before his arrival, or perhaps the day prior. What reason would they have, he then pondered, to be exhuming the body now? Quite an unusual practice. Still more strangely, he watched as the villagers grew increasingly riled, hurling curses and spiteful words towards the corpse that now lay on the ground. Others remained stoic, their hands tightly clasped, heads lowered in silent prayer. The bizarre scene made all the more eerie against the backdrop of the priest's passionate readings of scripture, and the crowd's jeering took a final, dark turn. Reaching into a small crate, one of the men retrieved 2 items, a sharpened stake carved of hawthorn wood, and a mallet. Placing the jagged end of the stake against the corpse's chest, Frumbald watched with bated breath as the man then raised the mallet high above his head. Taken aback by the horrifying display, staring at the wooden stake now deeply planted in the dead man's heart, the administrator couldn't help but be doubly startled by the tremendous amounts of fresh blood now pouring from the corpse's chest, mouth, and ears. Was this man even dead? How could a corpse without a beating heart produce so much blood? The administrator could have even sworn he heard the man issue a low, pained groan when being impaled. Increasingly baffled by the series of events, Frumbald watched as the men set about the final phase of their now apparently well-rehearsed ritual. The men lowered the bloody corpse back into the open grave before setting fire to it. The smell of burning hair and flesh quickly filled the graveyard, the crowd having now become transfixed and eerily silent. As the flames devouring the man's corpse climbed high into the darkening sky, Frumbald asked his guide about what he had just witnessed. Who was the dead man, and why did his corpse deserve such unusual and seemingly spiteful treatment? The guide, hesitant and pale with fright, explained that they had just witnessed the final execution of what was called a vampire. Observing his look of confusion at the term, the man explained, a vampire, a foul, unholy, and predatory spirit who stalks the earth with an insatiable thirst for human blood.
Dun dun dun.
Why is this called Wartime Stories if we're talking about a vampire?
Yeah. Well, his channel is Wartime Stories.
Is this
That's his
another
channel.
one? Another story?
So-
Because that's one story. Two story.
It goes on. Basically, he goes through and wipes out an entire village because he comes back to life. And then if you want to jump to when the military steps in, it's at
Wait,
17.
the traveler guy kills the whole village?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Bro, this is a government cover-up story.
Yeah, and then if you want to
Maybe.
They
skip
wanted
to,
that town.
yeah, 1730 is when the military steps in.
Okay, well, let's finish the story. We won't bother with the analysis. You can watch his analysis because I'm pretty sure I know. I want to give the guy a bit of the doubt, but 9 times out of 10, it's always like, hey, these people that were alive during all the plagues didn't know what decomposition looked like. And I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah, that's kind of what he starts saying.
Yeah, they all say that. And they said it like, I've got this book here, the Treatise on the Apparitions of Spirits and on Vampire Evidence This is written in like I think the 1800s, maybe 1700s. Anyway, they say the same crap. It's like, these stupid villagers, they didn't know what rotting bodies looked like. It's like, you guys can't come up with an original argument for 200 years. Good grief. Anyway.
Yeah, sounds like a government cover-up story, and they just really wanted that town, or and then the people wouldn't comply, so they just killed them all.
You see,
They're like,
Cody.
they were vampires.
Yeah. See, Cody, that is a more believable theory than people alive during the plague not knowing what rotting bodies look like.
Right. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway. So I didn't even watch it. Just for the record, call me Nostradamus. Trevor's watched this. I hadn't, and I called the ending before. Say no more. These people just regurgitate the same crap. Anyway. Okay.
I already fed you.
All right, let's finish.
Somebody needs to feed Gary, apparently.
Oh, yeah. I'm
A little hangry.
Yeah. All I've had is potato soup. I want to drink some blood or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Damn Irishman. You can't live off potatoes alone.
Scottish.
There's soup in it.
Scottish racist. Anyway. I don't like potatoes. I like golf. Shut up.
Throw a little sour cream and cheese on it.
Some chives.
Some chives.
They're after me, Lucky Charms.
That's also Irish.
Same thing.
Go
We're all
get the,
redheads.
go get
They're all
the pot
redheads.
of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Oh man, that's funny. Okay, let's see. Let's hear about the cover-up part of the cover-up.
I'll cover you up.
Vampire.
Having retired to his evening quarters, Provisor Frumbald began making a detailed report of the day's events, a report which would later be published that same summer of 1725. This official government report is the first documented use of the word vampire in recorded history. Once published, the testimony of the Provisor,
Published
further expanded
where?
upon by
I
the
wanna read the
testimony of locals
story.
from Kiselevo, sent shockwaves
In that
throughout
one
the
published
Austrian
place.
Empire.
He literally
But who was
said
the
it while
dead
I was
man
asking
whose
him to
ritual-
say it. Hang on here. Let's do him repeat vampire.
Frumbald began making a detailed report of the day's events, a report which would later be published that same summer of 1725. This official government report is the first documented use of the word vampire in recorded history. Once published, the testimony of the Provisor, further expanded upon by the testimony of locals from Kiselevo, sent shockwaves throughout the Austrian Empire. But who was the dead man whose ritualistic impalement Frumbald witnessed? According to the document, while he still lived, this so-called vampire was a local man by the name of Petar Blagojevic.
Lagolovic. Okay, I have heard this story.
10 weeks before Frumbald's arrival to the small town of Kiselevo,
I have this one, actually.
Petar, then a man of about 60 years of age, was laid to rest after a short bout with illness. In and of itself, this was no cause for concern. However, shortly following Petar's passing, something terrifying was unleashed upon the unsuspecting village. A string of mysterious deaths of several villagers took place in the week immediately following Petar's burial. One after the other, affected individuals would fall violently ill and then die within 24 hours. But far from being a normal bout of plague or illness, on their deathbeds, each victim uttered the same ominous testimony. Petar Blagojevic, at least a monstrous perversion of him, had appeared to them in their dreams, viciously strangling them to within an inch of their lives before they suddenly woke from the terrifying vision. And these were clearly no ordinary nightmares. Within 8 days of his burial, 9 more villagers were also dead,
Astral
victims of what
projection.
seemed nothing less than a repeating series of supernatural attacks. An unholy
Say that again.
Astral projection.
You think they're astral projecting?
Vampires know how to do that crap.
Dead Peter was killing people like Freddy. What's Freddy Fingered
He's
guy?
Freddy Krueger in
Freddy
it.
Krueger.
Freddy Krueger. Yeah.
Freddy Krueger in it, huh? Hang on a minute. I'm looking
legit.
something up. Have we
Look
read
it
this one?
up. Look it up.
Because we started
Freddy
talking
Krueger
about the
got fingered?
Highgate.
Yeah, I'm not. I found this when we were doing the Highgate stuff.
Vampires is. Yeah, hang on a minute.
Did we
I'm
already play
pretty
this?
sure. I'm pretty sure this is what I.
We're
No,
going
this is
over.
Hungary.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, this is Austria. This
Yeah, no, the
story.
one I wrote was from the one I wrote. The one I read was from Hungary. A different
Were they
guy.
hungry vampires?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, from the Imperial Prosper Grants district. Yeah, that was No, this is Peter Bogdanovich. Okay, no, so it is the same guy. So we've already done this one. We've already covered this story. Actually.
Oh.
You mean vampire stories are all recycled bullshit?
my
No,
bad.
it was though what happened, what this guy isn't mentioning is that the priest who was doing the rite at the beginning, he wrote a letter to his like pope or whatever over the same guy. And he was like, dude, these guys made me exhume a body and take place in an exorcism, and I wouldn't have done it, but they unless, you know, they're probably going to kill me if I didn't do it. So don't get me in trouble, please, because I was just humoring the crowd, is what the priest said. So that was his whole thing, was he was worried about, you know, getting reprimanded by the church after the event. So this is actually very interesting because this guy's report is from a soldier from Austria, and the priest wrote his own report that got leaked to a paper at about the same time. That's fascinating. That's really fascinating.
You're fascinating.
Yeah, I thought we'd went over Peter Bogdanovich. The second I heard that name, I'm like, wait, I think we've read that one. But I hadn't read the military report. I'd read the newspaper article that got leaked because the priest had wrote his church. That's interesting. That's really interesting. So
Intriguing, sir.
I don't know, Cody. What do you think? You think it's still a cover-up? You got two separate independent sources attesting the same thing.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess I need to know more. Like, why did they bury him if they didn't think he was dead, kind of thing, or they killed him and then buried him, and then he came back to life, or what?
Well, do you want to finish the story? Because I can tell you the story, or we could keep going with the video. You want to just keep going with the video?
Sure.
All right, let's finish this. This isn't. I'm suddenly very intrigued because this is a separate source from what we read the other week.
Thank you.
Scourge that, without intervention, seemed bound to continue. For the people of Kiselevo, there was never any doubt about what Petar was and how he needed to be dealt with. Unlike the newly arrived Austrians, the Serbs, alongside their other Slavic brethren, were well acquainted with identifying and disposing of vampiric creatures. If historical accounts are to be believed, Balkan peoples had been dealing with such entities for hundreds of years. In spite of the harsh laws in place that prevented the burning and staking of bodies under the guise of witchcraft, the villagers continued in this gruesome practice. For them, upon exhuming the long-departed Petar, the telltale signs of vampirism were plainly evident. Despite being dead and buried for 10 weeks, Petar's flesh maintained its lifelike color, while his fingernails and hair continued their growth. Perhaps the most damning evidence came in the form of fresh blood smeared about the dead man's mouth. Proof, the villagers thought, of the very life drained from their murdered citizens.
See, that's called
Killing a
keying up
vampire
the
was
stupid
a solemn
explanation.
and grisly task. Prayers are recited before a sharpened stake, carved of hawthorn wood, is to be driven into the vampire's heart. The wood of the hawthorn tree had long been believed to possess certain spiritual and healing properties. In a final effort to rid the body of the vampire possession, the afflicted individual's remains are then burned. And with that, the vampire of Kiselevo was no more.
Dun dun dun.
So, I mean, what led up to
Sorry, hang on.
what led up to them?
We gotta play the ad. All right. So what were you gonna say?
He's adding.
What led up to them killing Petar?
Okay.
Do you know?
Yes, I do. I just don't know if they're gonna explain it or not. They're just gonna go with what the military did to this poor town, apparently. Okay, so let me just lead up to it. So this guy, he was a soldier. This Peter Bogdanovich was a soldier, right?
Okay.
And he claimed years and years ago that he had been attacked by a vampire. And he told the town this. And he was like, don't worry, I'm all better because I drank the vampire's ashes. So apparently he thought he was all better because he'd done a ritual to get rid of the bite. You know, he swore he was bit, but he'd done a ritual to get rid of the bite, so he thought he was good. Well, the guy dies, and then people start dying right afterwards. And it's the traditional, I think in this case, it's the traditional account, you know, people, you know, draining the blood, the slow lethargy. Basically, they'd all start saying they were having horrible hallucinations and horrible dreams, and then they'd get lethargic and die. Now, I would be digressing. Basically, they all start dying in approximately the same way within a very brief span of time. So what they do, and this is what makes me mad because they never talk about this in the reports, and this is why the decomposition thing makes me mad because it's just a straight up lie. They didn't just look at his body and were like, oh, well, he's still got fresh blood. What the heck? No, they were taking up all the people that had died at approximately the same time and comparing the decomposition rates of all the people that had died within that certain period. And the ones that were much fresher, discernibly so than the others, were the ones they labeled as vampires. So, yeah. So it's like all the other decomposition rates would be the same. And then you'd have like 4 or 5 of them that looked like they hadn't been dead for more than a couple days. And they'd kill those. And whenever that would happen, is they'd get the fresh blood. Now, here's another little detail that I've only read in one report. But there was also a white foam that would come out with the blood as well. So it was like this kind of pussy mixture of blood and pus, but the blood wasn't coagulated. That's why it's significant. So you had this kind of... Huh?
That's gross.
It is gross, but it's a detail if you're trying to figure out what actually happened. Because it's not just running blood, and a lot of it, you've got blood mixed with pus, whereas the blood should be coagulated, and it's not.
This sounds like you telling that little story that you just told. It made me think of COVID. Like one guy came into town with this rumor about vampires, you know, and then all of a sudden everybody is like, "Oh, I think I got the vampire-y thing," and so people just start getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the fear is the sickness.
And that was the attitude people had in the 1800s. They were like, these people are just superstitious idiots. But they could never explain the decomposition issue. And so they came up with this stupid, these people don't know what the plague looks like, even though they were all dying and like 60 would be considered old. You know, these weren't exactly healthy individuals. So they knew what decomposition looked like. That's just ridiculous. And Clement, the guy who wrote that book I showed, to his credit, he didn't buy that either. He attempted to explain it with like faux science from the 1800s. He was like, well, maybe there's different salt compositions, like, or different kinds of soil, and maybe the soils are affecting the decomposition rate somehow. Mm-hmm. It's a stupid theory, but they had to... It wasn't enough to just explain hair and fingernails growing because everybody understood people knew what people looked like when they died. So they couldn't figure out the blood thing, and the blood thing was really a big deal, which is why everybody brings it up, because it should have been coagulated in any case. It shouldn't have had the pus and the blood mixture. So people don't know. There is an interesting theory in that treatise book that is like, it suggests, he was like, okay, the guy who wrote it was like, these people were incredibly malnourished. Now, he's also assuming these people are dumb, too. But to his credit, he's not just saying that. He's basically like, these people are very malnourished. Like, they're making soup out of bark. That's how malnourished they are. So, if you've got some kind of toxin in their food, maybe what's going on is they're hallucinating as they start to get sick, and then they die 2 or 3 days later, and this pus and blood mixture is a result of something they're eating.
Yeah.
Which is the most plausible theory I've heard, but you never hear it from these jackwagons. Which annoys me, because it shows nobody's actually reading anything. Like, I've had this for a week, and I've discovered something that every one of these stupid videos hasn't had. It's like everybody just kind of like regurgitates crap because nobody reads firsthand sources anymore. It annoys me.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
So yeah, sorry. I need my potato soup. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Try some meat this time.
I'm gonna try some
Potatoes
meat.
might just make you angry.
Yeah, maybe they may just make me angry. Yeah. So anyhow, it's not that I believe in vampires. I just really hate it when people recycle stupid things that don't make any sense because it's all they've heard.
Yeah.
So
You just hand wave something off and use the party line, you know.
yeah, well, like if you're somebody
Lazy.
Yeah, it's
Lazy
lazy.
journalism.
It's lazy. Exactly. It's lazy. I hate lazy. So, like, in the name of, like, if you're interested in science, you don't discount people because even if they have a wrong theory, when people tell you symptoms and people tell you patterns of behavior, the stuff that is similar all throughout is the stuff you hone in on. Because these people are in different regions, they're not talking to each other, but they're all saying the same basic things. And so those are the things you suss out and you look, okay, what could cause hallucinations, lethargy, death within a 3 or 4 day period of time?
Mushrooms.
Possibly. Yeah, maybe they were making a mushroom soup that wasn't good for them. I don't know.
Mushrooms off the bark.
Yeah, but what you don't
No,
do...
those are good.
Yeah,
Mostly.
but what you don't do is you don't assume people are stupid and just wave it off. Because you'll never solve anything that way. It just...
Yeah.
I could rant and rant and rant. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, weren't
No, you
they
did.
actually smarter back then than we are now?
Oh, I think so. I always use this example.
Depending on what context, I mean.
Yeah.
Think about it like
how to
this.
make medicines out of the woods, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me put it to you like this. The Federalist Papers were written for drunk corn farmers in taverns. We study them in college.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We're kind of morons. And we think we're smarter because we can turn on a light bulb. It's like, oh, yeah, try making one.
Well, I have an iPhone.
Yeah.
Try making
That makes me smart.
Yeah, exactly.
try
exactly.
making a light bulb without any reference.
Yeah, exactly. How do you create a vacuum inside of a glass shell? Can you do that? Because that's what you
Just
need.
suck on it?
Yeah.
You go,
Yeah, just suck really hard on the glass. You might see a vampire. Anyway.
Or a werewolf.
Yeah, so it's just anyway. But Trevor, this was a good find because that's a separate source for the same event that I hadn't come across. So that's very interesting.
yeah.
That's very interesting. So yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I might have read in there that might have been interesting. The one thing I do have this theory, and I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying it's a theory. I do wonder if it is like a demonic kind of manifestation because if you look at the patterns, if you're just looking for pattern recognition, what's interesting is you get the same pattern whether it's like vampires, ghosts, night terror, possession type things, and alien abductions. And that is like hallucinations, some kind of strange, indefinable marking, lethargy, night terrors, And so I wonder if there's like there might be a spiritual component to it because that hallucination with the physical marks thing, regardless of the manifestation. Because what we always say in here, demons mimic. And they mimic the thing that's going on at the time. These people were scared of the plague. And so the monster of the day was something that was symbolic of a plague, spread very easily and all the rest of it. So, yeah, whatever the entities are targeting is going to look like whatever they're afraid of. Now, it's aliens. If you go and you listen to abduction stories, they're very similar to like demonic encounters or even these vampiric things. You've got somebody sitting on top of you, you can't move, you get a marking on you. I wonder if there's maybe it's just mimicry on the part of the bad guys.
I think you're onto something. It's like
Yeah.
all we have to fear is fear itself. It's like that demon is going to take whatever. It's going to go with whatever conduit makes it scare you the most.
Yeah. It's going to play into your fear, yeah.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
Or it could be
mean,
a government cover-up. It
It
was
could
the
be that.
CIA in 1725.
Hey, 1725 CIA.
Or the
Pretty
AIC.
smart.
Yeah, yeah. They were a formidable force. Oh boy. Well, I don't know. It's interesting though, but the moral of the story is read firsthand sources because that's where the details are.
Yeah.
Don't just listen to this stuff because they're just regurgitating the same crap that was said on the History Channel.
Mhm.
You know. So
That's one thing you find with vampires. Like, there's not a lot of stories.
it's an
There's just not.
interesting case because both the werewolves and the vampire stuff is so it's in such a brief period of time and it's so localized.
Yeah.
It makes you think it's fake, but you'd still have to account for the physical anomalies, which is what is strange. But they are clearly a reaction to like a local event. And then the conversation gets really confused and kind of annoying because basically once you get that pop culture villain, then everything that even remotely like resembles it becomes a vampire. So, for example, I think it's the Banshee. There's a certain monster in South America I'm thinking of. It's basically a woman who rips herself in half and flies around with her intestines hanging out, and she bites people. So that makes her a vampire. I'm like, I don't think that's a vampire. Yeah, and the chupacabra is a vampire. Like, everything becomes a vampire just because it's what people recognize as marketing. So, and that confuses it.
That's a good way to put it, marketing.
Yeah.
Like Mothman was really popular for a while, so everybody saw the Mothman.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, are we gonna do a video on Mothman next?
I hope not.
Oh,
I mean, that one is pretty,
West
Fun to
Virginia,
look at,
take me home.
because there's that CIA
That CIA
base
thing.
or whatever, where they created the Mothman allegedly or whatever.
Chimera. It's a chimera. I think that's what they're called. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. We could talk about it. There's also the Jersey Devil. That was a big thing for forever. It
Ooh,
was like a camel head or something. You know, it's like a little dragon. It's like the goofiest monster I've ever even seen. It like had like little goat hooves of a camel head and little dragon wings. I'm like,
A camel head? Did he smoke cigarettes?
I mean, he must have. He must have. I don't know. I'm like, that is a one top heavy monster. So
I can just imagine a monster standing there with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. What's up, man? I got a camel for my head. Got a camel head.
right?
yeah.
Well, guys, I think that's about it. You got any final
Heck yeah.
thoughts?
I don't think so.
Thank you for
Sure.
final thoughting.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to end the live stream tonight. Thank you so much for watching,
Thank you.
and we will see you next time.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.